What's up, everybody? It's your friend Leo Francis here, back with episode 3 of Nothing Tastes Sweeter Than Nostalgia. Today, I'll be focused on junk food, past and present. First, while I am often focused on nostalgia and junk food from my childhood, I also like to keep up with the latest trends. So today, I'll be tasting 2 different viral foods to see what all the hype is about. I'll also be bringing you some exciting updates in the world of junk food. And finally, I'll be running down 5 of my favorite discontinued childhood snacks, then tasting and reviewing their current versions to see how they stack up. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. Now, if you've seen the first 2 episodes of the longer format, then you know that I am a man who likes to fondly reminisce about junk food from his childhood. But that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate all of the amazing junk food that is out there in the world today. And with the advent of social media, we're even exposed to food trends from around the world. So, today, I wanted to try a few of the current viral international foods that have come across my feed in the last few months to see if they live up to the hype. So, let's get started. Okay, first up, we have the viral Dubai chocolate bar. This one has been all over my feed for the better part of a year now, and I must admit I am extremely curious. The bar itself consists of a creamy pistachio tahini mixed with a crispy shredded phyllo dough encased in a rich chocolate shell. Now, getting your hands on one of these viral chocolate bars is pretty pricey, with even the least expensive one on Amazon going for around $35. And while I am extremely curious, I am rarely $35 for a candy bar curious. So, up until now, I have not had the opportunity. Then, a company that I love called Nutty and Nostalgic, who specialize in recreating your favorite discontinued junk food from the 90s, came out with their own version of this flavor profile, and I knew I could not pass up the opportunity to finally give it a taste. So, let's get started. Okay, their version is called the Dubai Chocolate Cake, and as you can see here, there is chocolate cake cashew butter, a crunchy pistachio kunafa, chocolate ganache, pistachio cream, and a layer of crushed pistachios and chocolate sprinkles. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Okay. I get it. Wow. That is so good. Wow, I really thought that I was prepared for just how delicious this was going to be, but this is on a whole other level. I mean, the juxtaposition between the smooth and creamy deliciousness of the pistachio kunafa against the crunch and toasty goodness of that added phyllo dough is a heavenly combination in terms of both taste and texture, and the way that it pairs with the flavor of the chocolate is just magical, you know? I'm actually surprised I've never tasted the flavor combination of pistachio and chocolate before, because if you think about it, pistachio is actually an extremely versatile flavor that could easily complement sweet or savory, you know? And I think whoever created this understood that. And not only did they fully unlock the flavor profile, but they elevated it to a god tier status. So I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommended. And yeah, there you have it. And next up, we have this, the viral peach ice cream that's been making its way around TikTok for the last year or so, Dao Ki Peach Ice Cream. I saw my friend Jillian taste this one, and I have to admit, it looked so absolutely delicious, I had to get over to H Mart immediately so I could taste it for myself. I mean, just look at how beautiful this is. It looks exactly like a real peach. I mean, this is a stunning work of art, and I haven't even tasted this yet. Now, this viral sensation is actually made from farm fresh peaches and real cream, and as a lover of authentic fruit-flavored ice cream, I absolutely cannot wait to see what this tastes like. So, let's find out. Cheers. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Okay. Mm. Mm. Okay, now I get it. I mean, this was smooth and rich and creamy and delicious and found a really nice balance between the flavor of the peach and the flavor of the vanilla cream. Now, admittedly, when I first bit into this, I did expect peach to be the predominant flavor here, but I actually think they found the perfect balance between the peaches and the cream. So I'm going to give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. It absolutely lives up to the hype. You can find it at your local H Mart, and I definitely recommend that you do. And yeah, there you have it. Next up, some news and updates in the world of junk food. First, we have some extremely exciting new flavors of ice cream hitting store shelves as Kellogg's Cereal and Eggo Waffles have dropped a new line of ice creams based on their signature cereals and most popular flavor of waffles, respectively. And as an absolute junkie for cereal, I cannot wait to get my hands on these. Now, personally, I am most excited about the Rice Krispies version because from what I understand, the ice cream is marshmallow flavored and contains pieces of Rice Krispie throughout, which means it's going to taste like a frozen Rice Krispies treat. I'm also having a really good feeling about the Honey Smacks version and, of course, the Eggo Blueberry Waffles. Now, these have already been spotted in Kroger, but unfortunately, I don't have any of those near me, so I will just have to hope that they begin carrying it at other retailers as well. What about you? Are you excited to try these? Let me know in the comments. And in further ice cream news, if Kellogg's Cereal and Eggo Waffle flavored ice creams weren't exciting enough for you, I'll raise you one with this Pop-Tarts ice cream. That's right, starting in June 2025, we'll be getting 3 new ice cream flavors based on the most popular flavors of Pop-Tarts. Now, personally, I'll be trying all 3, but for my money, that s'mores flavor looks like it could be extremely dangerous. Next up, I have an announcement to make. Now, I'm not sure how long you've been following this channel, but last year, shortly after launching, I started the annual tradition of putting together a March Madness style tournament featuring head-to-head cereal reviews called Munch Madness. Now, last year I pitted 12 varieties of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch brand against one another in a win or go home style tournament to find out who was king of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch family, and the winner of last year's Crunch Bowl was Gingerbread Toast Crunch. Now, I say all this because the second annual Munch Madness tournament will be starting next week. And this year, I'll be featuring 16 different varieties of Cheerios to find out who will take home this year's Crunch Bowl. Now, I'll be posting matchups throughout the rest of the month of March, and the Crunch Bowl will happen sometime in early April. So, stay tuned.
Please hang up and try again.
Okay, now as I've said in previous episodes, my memories of my childhood are inextricably linked to the TV shows, movies, video games, comic books, and junk food that I was consuming at the time. And one of the things I like best about revisiting these things from my past is that something as simple as a taste, or a sound, or a smell can be like opening this little time capsule that instantly transports me right back to simpler times in my life. Now, as a kid who grew up in a golden age of junk food with little to no restrictions on my diet, I could probably fill multiple lists with discontinued snacks that I wish we could have back. But today, I wanted to try something a little bit different. So today, I chose 5 discontinued junk foods from my childhood that all have current versions. Some of these may be exact replicas, some of them might be reimagined versions, but either way, today I'll be running down 5 of my favorite discontinued snacks, then tasting and reviewing their current versions to find out how they compare. So, let's get started. Okay, first up on my list, one of the greatest potato chips ever created, Keebler's Tato Skins. Originally introduced in 1985 to capitalize on the growing popularity of a restaurant appetizer from the 1970s, Tato skins were engineered with one light side, meant to resemble a traditional potato chip, and one dark side, meant to resemble a potato skin. These came in 3 different flavors: loaded baked potato, sour cream and onion, and cheddar and bacon, which was always my favorite. And in terms of texture, these were absolutely unique when compared with your average potato chip. And I think that's one of the things that made them so difficult to put down. And I can easily attest to the fact that, at very least in my household, oftentimes entire bags of these would disappear in a single episode of Perfect Strangers.
Keebler presents the appealing taste of baked potato skins in a crunchy chip.
Potato skins got baked potato appeal because they're made with potatoes and skins that are real.
The Keebler elves make potato skin snack chips with real potatoes and skins.
Cheddar cheese and bacon, sour cream and chives, tasty baked potato.
And they finally got barbecue flavor too.
They're made with potatoes and skins that are real. Potato skins from Keebler, baked potato appeal.
Now, apparently shortly after being discontinued by Keebler in 2000, Tato skins were purchased by TGI Fridays, one of the restaurants that has an actual claim to inventing the famed menu item, and relaunched under their own brand. Now, admittedly, I have been seeing these TGI Fridays chips on store shelves for years, and in all that time I had no idea this was just a rebranded version of one of my favorite childhood snacks. So I headed over to Dollar Tree to pick up a bag, and tonight we are going to taste these and see exactly how they stack up. So, let's get started. Okay, and while it is difficult to tell with the seasoning, you can see that there is still a light side and a dark side. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Man, that takes me right back. Wow. Wow. I mean, these are exactly how I remember them. I mean, they may have gone a little bit lighter on the seasoning than they did in the OG version, but in terms of the actual flavor profile and that signature crunch, these are a spot-on recreation of the OG Tato skins. So I have to give these 4.5 out of 5 stars. You can find these at Dollar Tree, and I absolutely recommend that you do. Cheers. Next up, this one was somewhere in between a candy bar and a cookie, but it was absolutely 100% delicious and a staple of my junk food diet for several years. PB Max. This one consisted of a square whole grain cookie layered in peanut butter, then coated in milk chocolate. Now, because this was on store shelves next to the cookies, my mom would occasionally put these in my lunch, and let me tell you what a treat it is to reach into your lunch bag and pull out something every bit as decadent as a Reese's cup. You know? I mean, these things were lunchroom gold guaranteed. Now, these were introduced in 1989, and I can still remember the commercials now, in which a very official-sounding spokesperson would come on and explain that the PB in PB Max stood for peanut butter, by first listing out all of the things PB did not stand for.
There seems to be some confusion about the PB and new PB Max. It don't stand for Piggy Banks, Platinum Blonde, Pink Baboon. Don't mean polka band or portly ballerina. PB means peanut butter, real peanut butter, lots of real peanut butter, in pure milk chocolate with the crunch of a whole grain cookie. Now that's maximum satisfaction. Even if you're as wholesome as a planter boy, that's pure bliss. PB Max, we mean peanut butter.
Now, despite the fact that over the years, PB Max was directly responsible for over $50 million in sales, they were discontinued just a few short years later in 1994, as the Mars family, who produced the product, was said to dislike peanut butter. Just another decision that shows you how absolutely out of touch rich people are with what actual people want. Now, if you've been following along with this channel even as recently as earlier this episode, then you have definitely heard me mention a company called Nutty and Nostalgic, who make recreated versions of your favorite discontinued junk food from the 90s. So far on this channel, I've already reviewed their Cowabunga pies, their Crispy Treats cereal, and now their Dubai chocolate cake. all of which are fabulous homages to the flavor profiles they're attempting to recreate. So today I am extremely excited to be tasting their version of the PB Max, PB Maxed. Their version consists of a rich, creamy peanut butter, whole grain cookies, and a chocolate frosting. Now, let's see how it stacks up against the original. Okay, this is what we are looking at. You can see the peanut butter here, the chunks of multigrain cookie, and the chocolate frosting, but now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Yeah. Okay, so this is an insanely accurate recreation of the signature flavor profile of the OG PB Max, right down to the ratio between the different ingredients. I mean, it really takes me right back. If I had one small complaint, I do feel like the peanut butter here is a little bit dry. And if I recall, the peanut butter in a classic PB Max was extremely rich and creamy. And I think that's maybe because the cookie pieces here are just a little too chunky, and they're making the peanut butter and chocolate icing feel drier than they actually are. But that's just me nitpicking at this point because this thing is still absolutely delicious. So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. Highly recommended. And if you'd like to pick up a jar of this, I'll be posting a link in the description. Now, if you know me, then you'd know that no junk food list would be complete without a little cereal. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, breakfast cereals don't exactly count as a junk food, but considering the sugar content of this next cereal is the equivalent of eating a bowl of candy, then I would say it absolutely belongs on this list. Not to mention, it's just one of my favorite cereals of all time. I'm speaking of Waffle Crisp Cereal. Originally introduced in 1996, Waffle Crisp Cereal is so loaded with real maple syrup flavor that you can actually smell it through the box long before you even open it. Seriously, every time I buy a box of this, by the time I get home from the store, the inside of my car smells like the International House of Pancakes. This cereal is absolutely legendary for its satisfying texture and extremely bold maple flavor, so I was really disappointed when it was discontinued in 2018, but that disappointment did not last long because Post reversed their decision just a few years later and in 2021 made this a permanent addition to the brand moving forward. Now, admittedly, I am a little bit nervous because oftentimes when a cereal disappears from store shelves for a few years and then suddenly reappears, the recipe has changed, or something about it just doesn't taste the same as it used to. And I am really hoping that that's not what happened here because, as I said, this was one of my favorite cereals of all time. So I had to pick up a box so I could find out for myself. And without further ado, let's dive right in. Wow. Well, it still smells exactly the same. That is potent. Feels like you are standing on the factory floor of the Mrs. Butterworth plant. The milk. And here we go. Cheers. Okay, so I am extremely happy to report that nothing has changed here. This cereal still has the exact same iconic taste and texture as it did 30 years ago. So I'm going to give this one 5 out of 5 stars. Easily still one of my favorite cereals of all time, every bit as delicious as I remember, and absolutely recommended. Next up on my list is yet another chip, but hear me out because these might be the most delicious chips ever created. I'm speaking, of course, of Keebler's Pizzerias. Originally introduced in 1991, pizzerias are often lauded as the best pizza-flavored snack food of all time, based on their wildly authentic pizza flavor. Not to mention, the crunch here is truly one of a kind because the actual chips themselves are made from real pizza dough, which gives them a truly unique texture, which is somewhere in between a pita chip and a cracker. Now, these came in 3 different flavors, but I was always partial to the cheese pizza myself. I love the way the tomato flavor here had just a bit of tang and a hint of spice, and I can still remember watching TGIF on my grandmother's front porch with a bag of these and a Crystal Pepsi and not a care in the world.
Hey, fellas, come on down and taste something new.
Right, Uncle Ernie.
In your dreams.
Pizza! Exotic, man! Chips!
New pizzerias.
Crank it with real pizza dough!
Cheese, spices,
Radical grub!
tastes like real pizza.
Only louder! Pizzerias rule!
Groovy chips, huh, boys?
What'd he say?
Now, despite winning awards for marketing excellence and representing the most successful snack food launch in Keebler's company history, by the late 90s, the company was sold to Kellogg's and pizzerias were sadly discontinued, never to be heard from again despite the definite public interest. Now, recently, it was brought to my attention that apparently Trader Joe's makes a fairly accurate recreation of pizzerias, so you know I had to get my hands on a bag and taste them for myself. Here they are, the Pizza Party potato chips from Trader Joe's. Now, these are kettle chips, so obviously the texture will be slightly different from the OG version, but I'm just here to see if they're able to capture a little bit of that pizzeria magic. Let's find out. Wow, definitely smell like pizzerias. This is what they look like. Look like they are nice and seasoned here. But now let's see how they taste. Cheers. Oh my God, man. Okay, so I am happy to report that these are absolutely delicious. I mean, they do have that exact same pizza flavor as the OG pizzerias. Texturally, the two are nothing alike, but frankly, outside of an actual pizzeria's revival, we are never going to get another chip like that. And as far as the flavor profile is concerned, these are a pretty spot-on recreation. So, I'm going to give these 3.5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious and highly recommended, especially if you were a fan of pizzerias back in the day and want to relive just a little of that pizzeria magic. Okay, and last but certainly not least on my list of 5 of my favorite discontinued childhood snacks were these, somewhere in between a cookie and candy, Planters PB Crisps. Originally released in 1992, I think I remember everything about these, from the iconic packaging featuring Mr. Peanut all the way down to the exact taste and texture of every delicious bite. Now, if you are too young to have tried these or don't remember what I'm talking about, these were essentially just adorable little crunchy peanut-shaped cookies that were filled with this rich, creamy peanut butter. I mean, not only was this peanut butter decadent and delicious, but the way it paired with the taste and texture of that outer shell was a tour de force for my teenage taste buds. So these were definitely in heavy rotation in my house. Now, there were a few different flavors of PB Crisps, but I always preferred the original. In fact, I even had a very particular way of eating these. I would try to bite them exactly down the center, creating 2 halves that were the exact same size, and then I would eat them separately to maximize how long the eating experience lasted. That's how obsessed I was with these. Now, sadly, like many of our favorite discontinued snacks from the past, despite their initial popularity, by 1995, sales began to decline and Planters decided to pull the plug. Now, I remember being one of the few people who continued buying these, so I was devastated when they did disappear, and I absolutely had to add them to this list. Now, luckily for me, our friends over at Nutty and Nostalgic have come to the rescue yet again, as they have their own version of my beloved PB Crisps, appropriately titled 90s Crisps. Now, let's see how they compare. Okay, here is what it looks like. It is a smooth, creamy peanut butter mixed with crispy cookies. But now let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Wow, that is spot on. I mean, you would think it was difficult to compare a jar of nut butter with a bag of cookies, yet somehow every one of the signature tastes and textures here is an exact replica of the OG. I mean, that peanut butter is rich and creamy and sweet and filled with just a ton of those crunchy cookie pieces that absolutely send me right back to my childhood. So I am going to give this 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely delicious. Highly recommended, especially if you are like me and have been missing PB Crisps in your life for the last 30 years.
It began with a nut and a bolt that shook his top hat with a jolt. PB Crisp, an idea for a munch, but with graham cookie outside for crunch. Inside a center so sweet, peanut butter cream, oh, a treat. A taste so enormously grand, made to fit in the palm of your hand. PB Crisp, PB Crisp, PB Crisp. Peanut butter cream is the name of the cream. PB Crisp, PB Crisp, PB Crisp. The sweet taste that is destined for fame. PB Crisps and new chocolate, yes, chocolate crisps from Planters.
Well, that does it for episode 3. Just remember, while there is a ton of delicious junk food out there in the world, nothing tastes sweeter than nostalgia. Thank you so much for checking me out. My name is Leo Francis, and I hope to see you back here soon.